Good morning. Welcome to the Crow Wing County Board of Commissioners regular meeting. Will you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda is open forum. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak about something that is not on the agenda? Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to something that's not on the agenda? Okay. Rick? Okay, the second thing is recognition of the Crow Wing County Farm Family of the Year for 2026.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tony Hansen, Regional Director with the University of Minnesota Extension. I appreciate the opportunity to appear before you today just to share a few remarks regarding our Farm Family of the Year for 2026. Just a little refresher for all of you. Since 1979, the University of Minnesota's Farm Family Recognition Program has honored families across the state who represent the very best of agriculture. These families don't just work the land, but they drive innovation, champion stewardship, and anchor our local communities. The longstanding program is a proud partnership between the University of Minnesota Extension, the College of Food and Agricultural and Natural Resource Sciences, and our College of Veterinary Medicine as well. In Crow Wing County, our Extension Committee considers nominees every year for this recognition program. The committee members seek to recognize families that are active and engaged in their communities and that represent the wide array of different farming operations that we have throughout Crow Wing County. This year, the Extension Committee selected the Kahi family of Fort Ripley as the 2026 Crow Wing County Farm Family of the Year. I'd like to share a little bit about the family's farm operation and their history. The Kahi family is a third and fourth generation dairy farm near Fort Ripley. They raise corn and alfalfa, which are used to feed their herd of registered Holstein cows. Their farm recently updated technology to include 3 automatic milking stalls, 2 manure collectors, and an automatic feed pusher. Emily and Daniel Kahi operate the farm full-time. Their children, Claire, Gianna, Marcella, Adelaide, and Rosalia, all help with fieldwork, chores, and cleaning. Daniel's parents, Bruce and Roseanne, are also still involved with the operation. Daniel and Emily are members of the National Holstein Association, the Minnesota Farm Bureau, and the St. Matthias Catholic Church. Their children are members of the Daggett Brook 4-H Club, the Brainerd FFA chapter, and the Dairy Princess program through the county's American Dairy Association. The Extension Committee typically asks for the Farm Family of the Year to be recognized at the Crow Wing County Fair, and so we are on track to do that on Thursday, August 6th, Agriculture Day of the county fair, and so we'll participate in that recognition ceremony at 11 a.m. in the Memorial Gardens. I'll also be working to invite them to a future board meeting so we can have them here as well to recognize them for their advancement over time. I'd like to personally thank the Kahi family as they were kind enough to host us for our June Extension Committee meeting, and we received a tour of their farming operation, which was extremely impressive. And so with that, I'd just like to ask you all in congratulating the Kahi family as our 2026 Farm Family of the Year. Any questions, Commissioners?
Madam Chair, just a comment from me. The Kahi family is, of course, down in the best commissioner district in the whole county, in southern Crow Wing County.
We're not in 5.
But this makes me think back to, I don't know if I was 14 or 15, and I had a little I don't know, it's kind of a flashback. I had a little Trail 70, and I can remember going over, and it was Milo Bueller, and it was Bruce and Roseanne Kahi. The kids were just tiny, and I was over there working, picking rocks and baling hay, and so I've known the family my entire life, and I got to tell you, you couldn't find better down-to-earth people than Bruce and Roseanne, and now Dan and Emily are leading in their footsteps of just being leaders in their community at our church, St. Matthias Catholic Church, and in the community. When I was milking cows, there was 160 dairy farms in Crow Wing County, and I'm pretty sure there's only 2, and Kahis are one of them, and I think Schlegel's, I'm pretty sure they're still farming. There's only 2 dairy farms left in Crow Wing County. So the family farms have kind of gone away, and it's kind of sad, but it's gone to more of the larger farms. So, but I just want to recognize them too. You stated a lot of things that they're doing, and they're just really good people. And so it was certainly a good choice on this. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Review and approve the minutes of the July 14th board meeting.
Madam Chair, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Coring. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Review and approve the agenda.
No changes, Madam Chair.
Motion to approve
I'll
the
second
agenda.
it.
Motion by Commissioner Coring, second by Commissioner Lee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda.
Just before a motion, just a question to County Administrator. I know the funeral burial policy, that doesn't take effect until 2027. I see the heads going, yes, okay.
That is correct.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. With that, if there's no other questions, I would move the approval of the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Coring, second by Commissioner Lubke. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public hearing.
Madam Chair, I would so move that we open the public hearing at 9:08 a.m. to amend the water surface use ordinance.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Coring, second by Commissioner Barrows. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The hearing is open. Does anyone want to speak to it? Or do we?
Or do you want, Madam Chair, Commissioners, would you like to have staff overview before you hear public testimony?
Sounds like a good
Yes.
idea.
Okay, staff, would you like to give an overview, please, for the board?
I can. Madam Chair, members of the board, the water surface use ordinance has been in effect since the early 2000s. That has been in effect, as I indicated. The Sheriff's Department receives complaints typically through land services when there are issues between property owners. I think there's an average between probably 50 to 60 per year. Most of them resolve with law enforcement just going and speaking with the neighbors. We have had issues with property owners believing, and the majority of them do believe, that the Sheriff's Department, based on the language, is somehow able to go in and remove docks because it indicates that the enforcement is done by the Sheriff's Department, excuse me. Right now, besides, I think, Otter Tail County, in my checking of water surface ordinances throughout the state, with the exception of the Twin Cities, I believe that Crow Wing County is one of only, besides Otter Tail, having a dock ordinance with the specificity that we do have. No other counties, and I'm saying that very loosely based on the understanding that I have looked at. I've looked at St. Louis County, looked at Mille Lacs, Aiken, Morrison, Cass County, nothing to this specificity. Some have, for example, a 10-foot setback from their property line, but nothing with respect to requiring the non-riparian, riparian issues that we have in our specificity, especially when you consider Cass County and all of our surrounding lakes or counties. One of the things I think that becomes a very large issue is Gull Lake. So we have Gull Lake that is in both Cass County and Crow Wing County. So you have enforcement of a dock ordinance on only part of a lake. So you have owners that are across the lake who don't have any requirements for a dock ordinance and others that do. So there is a issue with respect to selective or different enforcements. We also have issues that we talk about only a riparian property owner may place a dock. That puts an onus on the county with respect to proving who is a riparian property owner or not. Unfortunately, the county attorney's office, which would have to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt, if there are questions, and many times there are questions as to who owns a piece of property, the county does not make decisions with respect to who owns property. That is for a court to decide. If there are questions, that is something that would be a civil issue between property owners. We would not be doing that. If there are questions, the county makes decisions with respect to who or what taxes are going to be assessed based on the information that's been provided to the assessor's office. We do not use that, and that would not be sufficient for us to say we can charge somebody with a criminal case. And we are, if we were to try and do that, we would be looking at civil litigation to then prove a criminal case. So you would be having our office do a criminal or civil litigation to then try and prove a misdemeanor offense. Even then, we wouldn't have the ability to then move someone's dock or remove a dock. How would we do something? Because the majority of the time, it's someone's dock is on my property, or someone wants their dock removed, or someone else's dock removed. The vehicle for this is how do we get someone's dock out of someone else's property? You can use trespassing. There are other avenues that can be done besides what this ordinance does. And as I indicated, the majority of lakes and counties do not have a dock ordinance. I think only in the Twin Cities, and those cities may have some. I did not look at those, but specifically dock ordinances where those regulations that we have listed, this is not something that is used throughout the state of Minnesota. The only other one I found was in Otter Tail County. Any questions?
Do you want those now? Okay. Sure. Madam Chair. Stephanie, what, in my homework and looking at it, and since the district I serve probably has more docks in it than any other district, in looking at it, there are counties that don't do it as an ordinance like we do, but they have it in their zonings, in the land use and zoning part of it, instead of having it in this. And I see the cumbersome of this because it becomes a criminal. It's really a civil problem, and it becomes, coming to your court, it becomes a criminal problem. So I see a problem with that. I do have a challenge with the fact that if we get it out of there and take it out of there, I have a problem with the riparian rights of the property owner. You know, if they have and Paul has it down there on South Long Lake, where you have some people that just own a path down to the lake, you know, that they have, and it might be owned by 10 property owners. What says they can't take that 15-foot path down to the lake, put a dock out there, and go out 10, 15 feet, because it's public water, and go 50 feet on each side of that 15 feet, and encumber the line of sight of the other riparian property owners. You know, have a dock, you know, my dock goes out 25 feet, they put a dock out 50 feet and then go 50 feet this way. And now, you know, I can still navigate around that dock to get out in the lake. But now I put that dock and put boats right in front of their line of sight out of their place. What do we have that we can put in place that would eliminate that? Because by taking this out of here, you have nothing.
Well, and that is a public roadway. What you're talking about with respect to the issues on that road is that you're talking about public access through a road. So you're talking.
Oh, this is a dock.
If you can let me fully explain. So with respect to what's going on Paradise Beach Road where Mr. Coring is talking about, the people, that isn't deeded access where you're talking. Those are roads.
Oh, okay.
That have access to a lake, like any other public, quote, access. So you're talking about there's a public access. It might not be a DNR public access, but any other public access on any road to any lake. How do others deal with that? It's not something that is done anywhere else. That isn't going to be solved by this.
Okay, I'll use the example up in Breezy Point where they have 50-foot lots. And a person puts a dock out on that 50-foot lot and then decides to put another dock on the end of that dock, puts a 100-foot going to the left or to the right of that dock, encumbering the line of sight for those people. What ordinance do we have or anything to prohibit that?
And that, right now, that is something where we have to look at, can somebody still get to navigable water?
And that becomes subjective.
And that is an issue that can be dealt with in a civil issue. The question is, how are we, you know, these are the extremes that you're talking about. And so do we keep an ordinance because of one or two outliers that occur?
And the thing is by taking this out, are you telling people, do whatever you want to do right now? Because we don't have anything else other than this, correct?
Well,
We don't have anything in land services at all that does anything with this, correct, Gary?
We just have some marina language in our ordinance currently.
Because we do have part of our ordinances that we just went through, part of that does have some stuff in regards to what you can do on your shoreline. Okay, would docks be part of what you could do on your shoreline? Because once you put a dock on the shoreline, it becomes part of that property.
Currently, we don't regulate docks, so once you're past the watermark for land.
Gary, can you come up to the microphone, please?
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Currently in the land use ordinance, we just have a marina section basically that says you can't operate for commercial purposes from a residential lot, let's say. But if somebody put a dock, as soon as they're across the ordinary high water mark of that lake, we don't regulate the dock. We would go to the DNR or we would refer it to the sheriff's office.
Right, because of this ordinance that's in place. The counties that don't have this ordinance, and you, like you said, I think you stated it well, was Otter Tail and us, I think, are the only two. The other ones that don't, they have it in their, in I think St. Louis County and I think Aiken County and stuff have it in their, not as an ordinance, but they have it in their zoning where they regulate some kind of.
I'm not
thing.
aware. I didn't research any of that.
But so, I mean, I'm okay with this being out of here because of the criminal thing, but I just don't want to not have something there to help those people that have the riparian rights to be able to view their shoreland, and we don't have any ordinance in place to keep that from happening.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Gary, don't go too far because I don't have a question right now, but I'm going to have some questions probably later on. But apparently back in 2002, when the county board at that time, and obviously I wasn't here, none of us were here, obviously there was an issue that the county board felt there was a need for something. I I'm going to listen to the comments in this public hearing today, but with the constituent concerns that I've had over the years, especially down on the lake that I live on, with these public roads where you have one person putting their personal dock down there, what about the other 10 people that live next to them and they want to put a dock down there? It's only a 10-foot right-of-way. They don't, what if they want to put it down there? So there has to be some governing mechanism. I don't like government, but there has to be some kind of governing mechanism to me. It's the same thing. Well, maybe it's not the same thing, but I look at the short-term rental ordinance. What if we just said, oh, this is just too cumbersome. We just can't enforce this. Let's just have it be a civil matter. So if somebody's having a big party next door, I guess we got to go to a judge. I don't know. Maybe it's not similar, but it seems similar to me. We could probably get rid of a lot of ordinances and make our lives a lot simpler and just pass it on to the courts. Well, the courts, I don't know. The courts seem like they're all clogged up and they're so damn slow that they can't really get anything done either. So I'm sure the judges don't like that comment, but that's the truth. So anyway, I'm just going to listen to the comments, and but I'm going to have some questions for you, Gary, after I hear the public, what the public has to say on this. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Lubke, do you have the information as to what part of the land use ordinance in Aiken deals with docks?
I did not find it in there, but when I looked, and again, I did the AI search and then I started looking, but I know they've got to do something, and I think it goes back to Paul, what Commissioner Coring mentioned. There's got to be something in there, because this county didn't put it in there because everything was going fine. And for 20 years, it's been being used as an ordinance, and I'm not saying this is the best form to do it to protect people's property rights, but I don't want to not have something coming into place to do that. And maybe that's where I'm at. That you know, just to say, oh, it's a problem and let's just get rid of it and we'll just go back to the wild, wild west. And I'm sure there was something happening back 20-some years ago where this board felt that something needed to be done to protect people's riparian rights on their property. And I'm not saying this is the best one to do it, but this is what's been in place so far. But I would like to come up with something that would work and that I think should be part of the Planning Commission and land use that we have ordinances for. That's all I have. We should get to the public hearing, I suppose.
Okay. Daniel Gustafson.
Chair Franzen, board members, my name is Dan Gustafson. I live in Wayzata, Minnesota. I'm a 612er, as they say up here, so I apologize in advance for that. I own property in Deerwood Township. I don't know if you can see this plat, but you're gonna do 4 plats today, I saw on your agenda. And it's my position that the county does actually, in fact, determine property rights. You do so when you plat things and when the county recorder records things. And it's just because somebody comes along and claims verbally or with some other piece of paper that's not entitled to be recorded that they have an interest in property doesn't mean that it's so. And that's the statute of frauds. That's what, I mean, if we allow what has been occurring in my situation, and I can't tell you what's happening in my situation in 3 minutes. And I would appreciate a phone call with each and every one of you to discuss this, because it's complex. It's more than 3 minutes. So in my case, the platter who signed and notarized the plat is claiming rights to the lake that he doesn't have on his plat. And the county board chair has signed this, and the auditor has signed this, and the county surveyor has signed this. And what do these pieces of paper mean when you come before the county and request a plat if it doesn't mean what it means when you go ask for a copy of it from the county recorder? This is your land use ordinance. I'm going to look at the definitions for just a second, because Ms. Shook continues to tell me that the county can't determine boundaries. But here's a plat map with boundaries. Here's a plat map with boundaries on it. And Shirt Lake boundaries on it. A plat, a map or drawing conforming to Minnesota State Statutes 505 and 515, which graphically delineates the boundaries and dimensions of land parcels for the purpose of identification and record or title. In my case, I've filed a complaint with the Sheriff's Department, and Brad and Eric have been absolutely fantastic to work with, by the way. They have gone over and above, and what has happened is the county attorney's office continues to insist that this is a civil matter. It's not a civil matter. This individual, Jim Rude, is placing a dock into public water. The state owns the lake bed. Here's my abstract of title. It's not been impacted by anything. Here's the county employees emailing back and forth asking if my title has changed, and they say yes. That means they're actively defying the county board plat approval. I could go on, but I would welcome the opportunity to discuss this. And I also think it's premature to make this decision without input from the public, without reviewing what occurred in 2000 and 2004 when they installed this. And you should be asking the sheriff what he wants, in my opinion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wants to speak? Please come to the microphone and state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Joe Ranweiler. My wife and I live at 19522 Love Lake Road. I've been dealing with something similar where my neighbor has his docks on my riparian rights. The county attorney's office has been very difficult to work with. The sheriff's been out a couple times, and same thing Dan said. Eric and Brad have been fantastic with working, but the county attorney's office has been difficult. John, I agree 100% with you, and Paul, I don't think we can eliminate that ordinance because then there's no way of doing it. Exactly, John, what you said. It allows somebody to take their dock and bring it out and bring it over. And if it's going to be a civil matter, that's something that what do you sue for? I mean, you're suing for obstruction of, I mean, you have to have some damages from a civil standpoint to be able to sue. You can't just sue for, their docks on my property. One of the suggestions I had was, and Stephanie, you mentioned there's 50 to 60 of, kind of these minor things a year. Most of them get settled because we currently have the ordinance written the way that it is. My guess is only a very few of them reach the point where you've got an actual dispute going forth. If the sheriff comes out, knocks on your door, says, hey, you've got your docks on here, most of that gets corrected. If it doesn't, there should be a mechanism which the county surveyor comes out and he draws a map or says, here's what the ordinance says. The ordinance says, you are on this person's property, gives that to the sheriff. The sheriff then comes out and says, you're on the property, and if you don't, there's criminal ramifications for that. That's probably going to solve the next 99% of those issues. There's only going to be one or two very small issues where the landowner is stubborn and says, nope, I don't believe the sheriff, I don't believe your surveyor, let's go. And in that case, we should write that ordinance in such a way where the county attorney's office has some teeth to be able to go in and do it. My current neighbor has 7 docks out there. He's got boat slips that he's currently renting out to people, and he's got 2 boat lifts and a jet ski on my riparian rights. So I think taking this out of the ordinance just to make it easy, I think I was talking to a pretty smart guy the other day, and he said, are we going to take down a speed limit sign on a road?
because we don't know how to enforce the speed on that, and just, it's the same thing here. We'll have people that'll, you know, take their dock and bring it out and bring it across people's property, and there's absolutely nothing. If on the case with South Long Lake, if you made a 5-foot buffer required, and let's say they have a 10-foot easement, that would eliminate that issue, you know. And once again, if the county sheriff comes out and says, hey guys, you're on the property here, that's probably gonna take care of 98% of those. And then, and if for some reason the county's concerned with bearing the cost of the county surveyor, I've even suggested to Eric, I'll pay for that. I'll pay for the surveyor to come out, which in my case I did. I actually had the county surveyor come out, KLD, and they put stakes on my property, and I can sight down and I can see exactly, I mean, Eric's been out there, Brad's been out there, you know, you can see exactly that those are on, clearly on my riparian rights. But for a year plus I've been dealing with this, and I can't get any traction to it because the county attorney's office has determined that they know better than the sheriff and the county surveyor, and those are not on my property, so they're just letting me deal with it, and I don't know how to deal with it. So, is there any questions for me, or? Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
Joe?
If I could respond to Mr. Ranweiler, Madam Chair. I think with respect to Mr. Ranweiler, our office has spoken with Mr. Ranweiler with respect to the situation that he is in. The statute does not fit, unfortunately, because the property owner is a business. And we have, you know, we are reviewing the case under the civil remedy. He has been told that. And there are, you know, so he has been advised that something will be happening through a civil remedy. And he has been advised of that multiple times. I can't really go into it any further, but he has been advised of that.
Madam Chair, that doesn't make any sense to me because the supposedly it's a business next door, the riparian rights don't come into play.
So
I actually was just out there a couple of days ago and I walked around there. It's all a residential area. And if that's a business, I think we need to talk to Gary then, and that needs to be zoned commercial or something.
And so the water surface ordinance is a criminal violation. Mm-hmm. With the criminal violation, we could have Deputy Thiesing go out there and give the owner, we could give the business a ticket. Mm-hmm. I can't put the business in jail. I could fine the business. I can't force the business to take a dock out. How are we going to get the docks out? What avenue does the county have to move the docks, to move those, to do what's necessary? It is a business. Even if it was a person, you know, those are the issues that we come about. Whereas going the civil route, because there is an issue with respect to it is a business in a residential area. Essentially, I don't want to give the case away, but we have a different avenue to work and deal with the situation with Mr. Ranweiler to be able to get this resolved and deal with what's going on with Mr. Ranweiler's situation without the water surface ordinance.
This is where I have Madam Chair, I have a little problem with the judicial system. Everything's a big secret. It's almost like this is a secret. Now, if that guy is running a commercial business next door, I don't know why that's secret or what you're doing is secret. That doesn't make any sense to me.
It's not what he's doing.
If you're going to go after him, that's public. This is This is, we're all public.
He's operating a marina.
Yeah.
It's illegal. We can go after him civilly because it's a violation of the land use ordinance.
Okay.
Chair, if you would entertain a comment from the peanut gallery.
3 minutes.
Thank you. I happen to be good friends with the prosecuting attorney in Wayzata, and they deal with LLCs and that kind of thing on a regular basis. Wayzata Bay is one of the largest and most expensive areas in the entire upper Midwest, and properties are held in LLCs, and the prosecuting attorney is fully capable and aware of how to bring both a criminal and a civil action, and the county attorney, I'd be happy to make a referral for the county attorney to the prosecuting attorney in Wayzata so that they can overcome this challenge that they're describing. One other comment related to how far you have to look for surface water use ordinances. By the way, let's remember that the legislature empowers the county to put into place surface water ordinances with 86B 205. And the White Bear Conservation District and the Lake Minnetonka Conservation District have surface water use ordinances in place, have authorized dock use areas in place, have diagrams, and have extensive knowledge and could be a resource for Crow Wing County Land Services and the county attorney's office and the sheriff. And you have lots of friends in the business if you look around and ask for help. You don't need to be operating without the knowledge. And there are lots of people that are willing to help you, myself included. And I happen to have studied riparian rights more than just about anybody in the whole state, because I bought a 5-foot wide parcel on Medicine Lake in Plymouth, and they tried to use the accessory structure rule in public water, which is a land use rule, to block my dock use for the neighbors who didn't want to buy the parcel when it was for sale. So feel free to call me. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to connect your attorney with my prosecuting attorney buddy. We're willing to, this is not adversarial with the county. We're trying to help you, educate you, land services, surface water ordinances, the whole 9 yards. So anyway, thank you.
Madam Chair, it doesn't look like there's anybody else here to speak to the, can I ask, you want to keep the public hearing open and I can ask some questions, some more questions, or you want to close the public hearing?
Let's close the public hearing and we can still have Gary address us.
Okay.
Okay.
You're going to close the public hearing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Madam Chair, I would move to close the public hearing to amend the water surface use ordinance.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Coring, second by Commissioner Lee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
So, Madam Chair, to further the conversation, I guess a question for Gary. You know, obviously I have a lot of confidence in Gary. I have a lot of confidence in Chris Pence. You, in your land services, you cover a lot of ordinances. I don't know what percentage it would be for the county. I would assume that you were intimately involved with the change of this ordinance and your input was asked for. Am I right?
We had a meet, Madam Chair, Commissioner Coring, we had a meeting with Brad Thiesing. We started to look at some different ordinance language for the sheriff's office, and then that was it for us. We haven't been asked for any other thing.
Okay. Well, that's unfortunate. I actually, you know, I'm kind of, I'm in a quandary, John, because you and I are in agreement, which normally we're not. No,
You know, it isn't matter, Commissioner Coring, if we're in agreement or not. It's about people's rights.
No, I know it.
It's about, and that's what we're in agreement on people's rights.
Yeah.
And their right to enjoy and use their property. To sit there and say this ordinance is a problem and let's just throw it away.
Yeah.
We haven't fixed the problem. We haven't put something in place that's going to be better than what's there, because I have to agree that it's got to be cumbersome for the county attorney's office and the sheriff's department to chase around these kind of things, because there's just a lot of loose ends. And I think Brad could attest to that, because he's probably the one that goes out and sees most of them. And it's riparian rights, I think, are important. If you're going to pay the amount of money that people pay in taxes in this county to have that 100-foot on the lake, I don't think they want to look at the neighbor's dock coming in front of their place and having boats sitting on it and look across there. And I don't know what tool we have in our toolbox to make that better. If this one isn't it, let's find something else. But I'm hesitant about throwing away the one we have if we don't have something else to put in place.
And Madam Chair, I will say I'm in agreement with Commissioner Lubke. If this comes up for a vote today, I'm not going to be in favor of repealing anything. I think that this needs to be worked on. You know, this whole thing of that, it's a civil matter. I don't agree with that. I believe the county has a role. You know, in the 14 years, or a little over 14 years of being here, I've had a lot of people contact me, and it's specifically South Long Lake. This issue just keeps perpetuating itself and perpetuating itself. I don't exactly know what the answer is, but I'm just wondering, this is a suggestion, I'm just wondering if we have, if the county board kind of task Gary and Chris Pence and his wonderful staff to maybe come up with some kind of, maybe they can come up with some kind of an idea of how we address these things. Gary gets pretty darn good compliance with his ordinances, and that's all we're trying to do, is we're just trying to make sure this county doesn't turn into a bad county. And as far as that's concerned, I get really kind of wore out with saying, well, Morrison doesn't do it, and Aiken doesn't do it, and this one doesn't. I don't care what they're doing. I'm not the county commissioner for those counties. I'm the county commissioner for here. I'm answerable to the public that voted me in, and they're asking that we help to take care of these problems that is difficult for them to take care of. And just to throw this away. If we're going to get rid of this, then I think we should get rid of the short-term rental ordinance and just say, if you got a problem with somebody doing something next to you, just go to court. Go to court on that. So, I don't know, Gary, do you think that you could maybe, if we task you to come up with some kind of an ideas and throw it around, do you think you could possibly do that? Or what do you, I guess I'm looking for your opinion on this.
Sure, Madam Chair, Commissioner Coring, we're here to help. We get a lot of compliance. I like to hear that in its current form, if they get 50, 60 complaints and 50 of them are resolved, that's a win in our department. It sounds very successful. I don't know what the effort, though, that the sheriff's office has to take, or the attorney's office. But it does seem like maybe there's extremes that have brought this into light to get rid of it. But the masses, it seems like, from what I'm hearing, is actually solved. So maybe it isn't too big of a lift to figure out these maybe remaining issues to have it work for some of these other issues. But yeah, we can dig in if you want us to roll up our sleeves and bring you a recommendation, if that's what you guys so want us to do.
Madam Chair, if I may, I think there are 3 options available in front of you today. One would be to adopt the recommendations that the county attorney's office is bringing forward, which would amend the ordinance as has been suggested. The second would be to do nothing, leave it exactly as it is currently with the same enforcement as what is listed in the water surface use ordinance. And the third would be to direct staff to look at ways we could perhaps either change the language, the location of what the language is, whether it be in the land use ordinance or whether it be in the water surface use ordinance, maybe charge staff with taking a deeper dive, looking for a recommendation and coming back with another recommendation at that point in time. So those are the 3 options that I see before you.
And Madam Chair, to the county administrator, what do you think, Deb? Do you think that would a motion be appropriate or a consensus, or what are you thinking?
I think if you would like to go with option 3, I think a motion to instruct staff to work to come up with another solution and bring it back before you again.
Madam Chair, a couple things on this. You guys have covered just about all of it, but to your point about this, moving it to staff, I think that needs to include probably Sergeant Thiesing from the Sheriff's Department and someone from the County Attorney's Office to work with it, because we're talking about the 1% of this issue that we're dealing with that is a problem. We need to have everybody on the same page for the enforcement side of it. Because that's what we're talking about, is the 1% of the problem, not the whole problem, so.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Lee, I would agree with that. When I say send it back to staff, I mean all the staff. So it would be folks from all of our areas to work together on this.
And Madam Chair, and that could possibly be having that ordinance be in Gary and Chris's land use ordinance, figuring out something there. And then when a call comes in, Gary and his staff would be trying to address it, and rather than having it go to the sheriff's office right away.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Coring, yes. I would suggest that the review would be, where's the right ordinance for this to live? Which ordinance that we have is the right location for it? Even if it's within the land use ordinance, is there a portion of enforcement that the sheriff's office continues to participate in? What does it look like? How would we manage the enforcement side of things from the county attorney's office? What would be the right way to look at how we would address this?
Madam Chair, I just want to add one thing. A question that didn't get answered for me, and I asked it through staff a couple different ways yesterday and got 2 different answers. So with regard to Mr. Ranweiler's point, if currently the way our ordinance is, if there has to be a survey done, is that falling on the county's dime?
It is.
Yeah.
Where does it say that? Does it say that in the ordinance?
There is part of the ordinance talks about, excuse me, that it doesn't specifically say it's at our cost, but it falls on us and Gary's department.
We're not paying no more to do
Right.
I don't buy that.
Madam Chair, we did change the ordinance when it dealt with repairing lots. If anybody wanted a building permit or do anything on a repairing lot, we put that the owner of that repairing lot needs to have a certified survey. So I can see by putting it back to review and looking at those things, those all can be looked at it. We don't need to discuss it up here. I think we have adequate staff and comparable staff to be able to do that, so.
No.
The public hearing is closed, sir.
Yep. So.
But that would come up with the cost of, for example, us having to prove that someone is a non-riparian owner, which is one of the elements of the offense for a water surface ordinance violation.
Thanks, Steve. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, I guess.
I have no water in my district, so I'm not sure how to answer this.
You're still a commissioner.
I would be in favor of putting it back and having the staff take a look at it. I agree with Ms. Shook, though, that currently the responsibility would fall on us because we're trying to prove that somebody is doing something wrong. So it is a county expense, whether we like that answer or not. So at this point, though, I think that we should send it back to the staff, have them do a thorough review, and then bring it back. It may or may not change, but I think we should take a more thorough look at it and include all 3 of those departments to make sure that we look at everything possible around the state. So
I almost envision something, if somebody comes forward, that there's Gary and his staff or the people that put this together would put something together, and if the first thing would be that these people have to come back with a licensed survey. That's the first step in this process of them, of Gary and his staff trying to resolve things. I would think.
And Madam Chair, I think it needs to be noted that it's not that we don't want to be able to do things. I mean, the law, the law is the law, and we have to, there are limitations. And the last thing we want to do is not follow. And there's also budgets and money, and we have to look at how that is done. So,
Madam Chair, I will make a motion to table this for further staff review, and we can come back in.
Madam Chair, may I clarify? Commissioner Lee, do you want to actually table the action to amend the ordinance, or would you like to simply just direct staff to come back with a different solution?
To direct staff to come back with a different
Okay,
solution.
I just wanted to clarify, so thank you.
Madam Chair, for clarification, is there a timeline for that?
What's your idea with
Madam
staff?
Chair, I would not, unless there is a pressing reason why we would need to have something addressed, I would not put a timeline on it. I would suggest that it will take some time for us to review and get to what a good workable solution would be. So unless any of you feel that there is a urgent need to have something very, very quickly, I would suggest that you give the staff time to work through what the process looks like.
And then, Madam Chair, I would also suggest that when there is a skeleton of what maybe some changes that might work, I think a committee of the whole to run it by the county commissioners and then also to run it by the Planning and Zoning Commission to see, just get all the input that we can, I think would make total sense.
I will second that motion.
Well, I think.
You made the motion, right?
He did.
Unless there's any.
And we did not have a second yet.
Okay.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Commissioner Lee, second by Commissioner Lubke. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
So in my situation, what I would ask, and I don't know if this board can do anything with it, is I am more than willing to pay for a riparian rights survey. But I'd like it to be from the county surveyor so that it has some weight. And I would request that once that is done, that the survey is given to my neighbor through the sheriff's department. If there's nothing that the county can do to enforce it because they either don't know how or they're unwilling to, whichever, then I can at least take that as a civil matter, but it's got some weight behind it. And there's a good possibility that if the sheriff brings an actual survey with my riparian rights being violated, that my neighbor will just comply and this will go away. And obviously, if he doesn't, I'm willing to handle it, this particular one, civilly, just because I want to get it done. So that's my ask. I don't know if you can direct that, but I'm willing to pay for the survey. I just want the county sheriff to deliver it.
Madam Chair, I would suggest that Mr. Ranweiler needs to work with staff to discuss those things. That's not an action that would come before the county board for that purpose.
Yeah.
All right, the public hearing is over. Next thing on the agenda is the Adney Exchange Holding Company.
Hey, Madam Chair, Commissioners, we have 4 items for your consideration today. The first one being a preliminary plat for Adney Lake Conservancy First Edition for parcel number 60320512, located in Section 32 of Fairfield Township. This request is a conservation design preliminary plat consisting of 4 lots and 1 outlot. If you go to the map on page 63, you will see the location of the property. It's on the north side of Adney there, yep, and then blown up piece there. You'll see a lot of wetlands on that property. The county board approved a preliminary plat of Adney Lake Conservancy on July 14th, 2028. This is a replat of Lot 2. The Planning Commission Board of Adjustment held a public hearing July 16th and made a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners to approve the preliminary plat of Adney Lake Conservancy First Edition. The PCBOA developed the findings of fact found on page 106 and 107 of the board's packet, and for your consideration as well. The Planning Commission also approved the conditional use permit July 16th, to allow the conservation design plat. A variance was approved as well to allow a 20-foot wide corridor. And basically, it's required to have a 50-foot corridor. In this case, they felt by granting the variance, it lessened the impact to the wetlands to get down to Lot 4. They also clarified conditions on that 20-foot corridor is no motorized vehicles can be used to access the little peninsula there in the plat. So based on the application submitted, staff packet, public comments, and the findings of fact, it is recommended to approve the preliminary plat of Adney Lake Conservancy First Edition. Staff has reviewed the file and concur with the recommendation from the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Madam Chair, is this the same owner that brought this forward, what, 2 weeks ago or a month
Yes.
ago?
Yep.
So why didn't he bring it forth then? Instead of going 1 and 2, why didn't he just bring 5 lots at that point?
To split that property, Lot 1, he didn't want it to be part of this other piece. And per our ordinance, you must plat any riparian lot. So they needed to do a plat to get the process going. They couldn't just say, oh, you can break off that one chunk without a plat. So that's why we had to do that.
And I'm looking through this, I'm trying to, I don't see the map, maybe somebody else can point me to it, but how are these lots gonna be divided and actually buildable?
Yep. So on page, I just gotta find it here. I don't have a page number. Oh, there it is. Perfect. So you have lots 1, 2, 3, and 4. All of the rest of this is going to be Lot 5, or basically an outlot.
Oh, I see.
And they all are buildable size. And then the access to it is this 20-foot corridor here with, oh, is a little red one, not, sorry.
Need the green.
We need the green. Look out, don't burn somebody's eyes out.
So lots 1, 2, 3, and 4, the rest of that being the outlot 5, and they're getting there with this 20-foot corridor road down. And then their beach, they'll have a 1 dock here with each one gets a dock slip. The alternative that they could have done was do 100-foot lots through here with multiple docks.
Gary, when you say, excuse me, Madam Chair, Gary, when you say they could have done, they just could have done it, or they would have had to come in front of the Planning Commission and get it approved?
This would have had to been a plat because it's a riparian piece of property.
So they just couldn't have done it, they still would, they would have had to go through a whole
Yeah, my
procedure
bad.
and
They
it
would
had to be
have had to
approved?
come through to get it platted a different way if they wanted to, yes.
Madam Chair, if I might, Gary, who's going to enforce the fact that there's no motorized vehicles on that
With
trail?
with any of those conditions on these, we're the first point of contact to try to compel compliance.
So our sheriff's deputies will be out there. If they're side-by-sides, 4x4s, whatever, heading down that road,
Typically, the sheriff won't go out on a violation like this. An extreme case here, let's say somebody takes a lawnmower and tries to mow that path down there, they could say that's a motorized vehicle. We would go out there with one of our environmental services specialists, say that's not allowed, please don't let that happen again. If it does, we would then have a conversation with the county attorney on what our next steps would be if they're gonna violate the conditions of the plat. Some of them are challenging. I know where you're at on that.
And then if they get nasty, then he's got to call the sheriff.
Yeah.
I don't know, I guess my thought on this is that I was okay with it when it was split into the 2 because I could see the 1 building site that was viable, but there's a lot of low in there. I've fished that lake, I know that area quite well, and we talk about sewers and the well and how they're gonna commingle. I don't know that I agree with this.
Further discussion? Okay, can we have a motion?
Real quick, one more question, Gary. Is he going to do STRs on here?
I have been told there has been advertisement for a short-term rental at this location.
And I know, and I think we all have experienced the problems that take place with STRs.
We
Not
do,
necessarily the owner's problem, I mean fault, but the people they rent to cause problems.
they
And this
can,
is a sensitive area. So I have a hard time supporting this also, just because of the running that type of business in there. I think it's almost unenforceable, and I think there'll be problems.
so when it comes to short-term rental, Madam Chair, Commissioner Barrows, we do have a short-term rental ordinance. We had 30 complaints last year, resolved all of them.
Phyllis?
Madam Chair, just for process, you either need to approve the preliminary plat or deny the preliminary plat. If you choose to deny the preliminary plat, I believe you need to have findings for why you're denying, correct?
That is correct.
Can we let him speak? Please. State your name and address.
Yeah, Tony Becker, 18835 Marie Lane, Crosby, Minnesota. This is my property. Available for any questions if you may have questions for myself.
Mr. Becker, if you're doing short-term rentals there, how will you control that, the behavior of these individuals that come? Because we've had an experience where there's an awful lot of, particularly males, who cause more problems and damage to property.
Yeah, of course. So this property is real special to us. Just to start off, my wife and I used to have a property on this lake about 6-7 years ago. We always fell in love with this property. It's very large. It's 40 acres total, and as was stated before, we split off 9 on the left side. I'm a conservationist myself, outdoorsman, outdoor enthusiast. So my job for this property is to protect it and protect it forever. That's my intention. The reason I split it into 4 on the right side is one property for my wife and I, which is lot 3. That house is currently being constructed. We have obtained a permit for that. Lot 4, 2, and 1 are for our 3 daughters. So what we intend to do long-term is to move to this property forever, retire here, and build out a kind of a guest cottage for each one of our daughters. It's always been a dream of mine to do that ever since I was a young kid. I love hunting, I love fishing. I fished on this lake many times as well on the previous property that we had here. So the intention of this, and the reason we have the very large common area, I think it's around 85 to 90% of that right side is all common area, protected, preserved. We're working with Prairie Restorations and the Minnesota DNR Forestry to rejuvenate that area. 9 acres of that was farmed previously, and we're regenerating that as well. With respect to the short-term rentals, in order to afford this type of a property, we would like to gently rent it out in addition to our personal family use. My parents live in Nisswa, Minnesota. My sister and her husband live in St. Cloud. We would do a lot of family gatherings here as well. So that's our intention of it. As far as managing the short-term rentals, we are in agreement with, it's Book the BLA, it's called, Woods to Water. They're a professional management company. What we would do on this property, and our intention is to lot 3, which is under construction right now, it's a 5-bedroom house, and lot 4, right now, we're working with Chris Pence and his team to develop that. That would be a 3-bed, 2-bath little cottage. We would rent those 2 out, and that's it. We did talk to Chris and his team, and there were some concerns over the short-term rental for obvious reasons. I've been around them myself, and with living on this lake for a while, I'm very aware of the issues they can cause, and I'm also aware of the good things they can do, right, for the community, local businesses and that. We believe that with working with a professional company, they will have a very tight leash on ordinances and rules and regulations around these, and we have full confidence that they can control that. If there were, I would be open to putting a limit as far as how many short-term rentals we could have on this property to alleviate that concern. I know that there's multiple lots here, and there's some concern over, hey, they're gonna put short-term rentals on all of them. You know, obviously it's a residential owner's right to have short-term rentals in this county. That being said, my true intention, and to honor that intention, is to preserve this. And what I would do is I would remove that short-term rental from Lot 1 and Lot 2, if that would be of concern to the board. Any further questions? I'm available.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Sir, tell me how you're planning on laying these out with a sewer and a well.
Yeah, so number 4 and number 3, we've sent in a preliminary or approved septic design to Chris and his team at the Land Services. 3 and 4 are actually connected by one sewer. The septic system is, you can kind of see it laid out there in number 3. So this is the drain field right here. You can see a couple lines, a primary and alternate drain field. This building here will be brought to that drain field, and number 4 will also be brought up to that drain field. Again, with conservation in mind, we wanted to get that away from the lake as far as possible. This building right here is 120 feet off of this wetland right here, which is considered part of the lake. Although this is all wetland, there is flow from the lake into here, so we're 120 feet off of that. It's about 300-400 feet off of this shoreline, that building is. And this building would be about 120 feet or a little greater off of the shoreline there. So this drain field, if I were to approximate, would probably be about 400 to 500 feet off the shoreline, although I have not measured it. I would approximate it's around there somewhere. So, so that's what we have in mind for that location. And then lot 1 and 2 are, I believe, around 700 feet off the shoreline, and they also have a primary and secondary identified for the ordinance.
Gary, our staff has been out there and looked at this, and they feel those locations are high enough to not be a problem.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Lee, yes.
And Madam Chair, the Planning Commission moved this on unanimously, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay.
They did do an on-site.
Did you do it on
this
site?
as well.
Madam Chair, if there's no other questions, I'll make the motion to approve.
We have a second.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Coring. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Can I make one more, just 5-second comment? Just to alleviate some concerns over that existing road. It is an existing road. It's a 20-foot wide road. It's been there. It was actually approved by the board about 50 years ago. So we're just asking to continue to use it.
Thank you. Okay, next item.
Madam Chair, the next request is for a preliminary plat of Gobbler Storage Addition for parcel number 73240513, located in section 24 of Lake Edward Township. This request is to approve a preliminary plat consisting of 12 lots and 2 outlots. If you go to the map on the 142, the packet, I always get the numbers wrong. I don't know how we do, but that's right, 144. Oh, I gotcha. You'll see that the property is located on the east side of County Road 3, near Klaus Stamping. The plat is, no, it's on 145, I hope I got the page number right. Anybody familiar with County Road 3? This will be just south of the old turkey barns on 3 there. The Planning Commission Board of Adjustment held a public hearing on July 16th, 2026, and made a recommendation of the board to approve the preliminary plat of Gobbler Storage Addition. The PCBOA developed the findings on fact found on pages 195 and 196 of the board's packet for consideration as well. The PCBOA also approved the conditional use permit on July 16th to allow for the construction of commercial storage buildings. A variance was also approved to allow a 50-foot setback to the east property line where 100 feet was required to residential zoning. Based on the application submitted, staff packet, public comments, and the findings of fact, it is recommended to approve the preliminary plat of Gobbler Storage Addition. Staff concur with that recommendation, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the preliminary plat for Gobbler Storage Addition.
Nope. I'll second that and then comment.
Okay.
Oh, you want to talk about this?
Yes.
Oh,
Were you gonna bring that?
well, what Tim wanted to talk about, Debbie, would you be able to throw this up underneath the, this came in late, but we can talk about it now, but why I wasn't going to is I just want to remind the board, this is preliminary. So what we're going to talk about here is actually going to be on the final plat, which we will talk about if you approve the preliminary at the final. But there's been some concern on the access from the access of County Road 3. So Tim had got a call and worked with, I think it's Mr. Cullinane to the north to make sure that it's clear that the property boundary is right here. And they want to make sure that it's shown on the plat how to get into this storage park. It's not on your preliminary that you approved today, but it will be something that gets cleaned up if it comes back for final plat. So it's not really for consideration today, but I think that's why you wanted to bring it up.
So then, Madam Chair, the county engineer and the county highway department would be okay with that, and if that's included, correct?
Yes, I wasn't sure if it was gonna, if we needed to, or talk about it here, so it
Okay.
just reinforce that it does
Sure.
need to be part of the final plat. Mr. Cullinane come forward, I met with him yesterday. He was at the planning commission meeting, and it is documented in here that he does have some concerns about going right onto that exits right out onto his private property. There's no way showing that plat is gonna have their sole without accessing his property. He's running a business up there too, and things like that. So as long as that it's in the PAG clear that it must be considered for the final plat, I'm fine. That's all I really wanted to raise awareness about.
Perfect.
Tim, before you run off, who maintains that approach? Is that a county culvert?
Actually, there is no culvert in there. This is a county approach. It's purposely on the property line and the shared access, like we're managing some of the other ones. And it's just not constructed that way. The property pin is right in the middle of the approach, but this is a private roadway into Mr. Cullinane's property, and this will also be a private driveway.
Okay.
Just really center the access so there's not that encroachment in the future, and the adjacent property owner has brought that forward. And some things other things we had to work through in terms of drainage, so.
Almost seems like a civil issue.
Madam,
Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Madam Chair, just a question for as long as we got the two experts up there. So Rick Adams shows to own this property. I think he has that cell tower that was there, that was put in there. So when he put that in there, did he have access to that cell tower? How did he get access to that? Did he have an easement from or something from the landowner to get in there?
So there is an easement that runs basically back around this way where he was accessing that cell tower since that cell tower was built.
Was there first, yeah. That's what I
Yeah,
was
so
just
that
wondering.
goes out this way and kind of loops back around out to 3. Now what he'll do is put in a driveway here to get access here. They probably could come this way too if they wanted to. using that easement, but
Well, I was just wondering, because if that cell tower was there, they had to have access to it somehow. That had to be legal and proper, so. This is just improving it for the storage park that will be there. Thank you, that's all I had.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none. We have a motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Coring. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Pelican Beach.
thank you, Madam Chair. The next request is for the final plat of Pelican Beach Preserve for parcel number 73040571, located in Section 4, Lake Edward Township. All requirements have been met for final plat, and we recommend approval as submitted. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Just as a note on this one, there was an appeal filed on the conditional use permit that's already been approved on this property, July 20th, for the resort conversion. The applicants have been informed. That case will proceed. We discussed with Stephanie over in the attorney's office that we don't see no reason to deny the final plat, but if the conditional use permit is overturned, that the plat would be vacated. And that could take up to north of a year, maybe, or more, to get that resolved. Just as an FYI to the board when you're considering approval or not.
Madam Chair, if we approve it today, does that allow that person to do whatever he needs to, or they want to do there? And then if it comes up and gets vacated, then whatever he did is, I mean, that's,
it definitely could be a buyer.
I don't know how to ask that question.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Lubke, if it's approved today and they decide to sell pieces of property and it gets overturned on appeal, that is something that it would be a civil issue.
Okay.
And that would be, it's a buyer beware.
Right.
So that isn't something that it comes down to us, but the plat would then be vacated. So they've been notified and told that it's an appeal, that we can approve it. The county has the right to approve it, but it's their decision. They wanted to go forward, but it's not an issue for us.
Follow-up question then, if we leave it preliminary, can that person still sell those lots?
We would have to deny it today. So there's two choices. You either deny the final plat or you approve the final plat today.
And I would assume that if we deny it today, then it's done forever, not just till after the appeal's over.
They would have to come back after the appeal is done.
They'd have to start over.
Madam Chair, but just a reminder, the appeal is not on the plat.
Right.
The appeal is being filed on the conditional use permit. So the appeal doesn't have anything to do with the plat, which is why the final plat is still before you today.
I didn't catch that, so.
Glad you're here.
Madam Chair, if there are no other questions, I'll make the motion to approve the final plat of the Pelican Beach Reserve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Lee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The final request is for the final plat of Ann Lake Acres for parcel number 59160504, located in Section 16 of Bay Lake Township. All requirements have been met for final plat, and we recommend approval as submitted. Here for any questions.
Are there any questions?
I forgot on this one, did the township have any comments about this? I don't know, I know they did in the preliminary, or didn't have any in the preliminary, but nothing on the final, was there? Forgot to look, apologize.
Oh, I don't see any.
There are no comments from the township.
All right, that's all I've got.
Okay, can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second?
I'll second that motion, Madam Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Lee, second by Commissioner Lubke. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. County Sheriff.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. I don't really have anything for you today. We have the county fair coming up, so I'll be out there from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day, Tuesday through Saturday. So if you guys want to come out and say hi, get a picture with me, please feel free to do that. I'd love to have you out there. Political. Take any questions.
So with that comment, I'll say this. So if you're going to be there from 10 to 10, that means we'll finally get a full day out of you?
They know how bad that one hurt.
That's why they're laughing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
County Attorney.
I have nothing unless you have some questions for me.
Seeing none. County Administrator.
Madam Chair, the first item today, I have a report from the senior management team. We did meet yesterday, and as you can imagine, this time of the year, all we talked about was the budget. So we are continuing to work through that process, and you will get the updated version of the 2027 budget from us at your next Budget Committee meeting. The second item I have before you today is the Brainerd Lakes Regional Airport Ordinance Amendment. I'm sure as you all recall, in 1946, the city of Brainerd and Crow Wing County worked together to establish a joint airport authority, and there have been several amendments to that ordinance over the intervening years. The gist of the ordinance is that you agree to jointly operate and maintain the airport, and the original language required a 50% cost share from each entity. It also included basically a 50% representation on the airport commission from each entity. There have been numerous conversations over the years as far as if the 50-50 cost share is the appropriate way for that operation to be maintained, given the tax ability or the capacity of the county versus the capacity of the city of Brainerd. At their meeting on July 6th, the Brainerd City Council adopted basically a new ordinance that supersedes the previous ordinance that was in place. This is following several years, I would say, of discussion with staff that has kind of resulted in a recommendation of how the airport could be looked at a different way. And essentially, the new provision would establish a financial contribution and airport commission composition that would occur through a 3-year phased-in approach. Phase 1, which would be effective January 1 of 2027, would require a 75%, 25% split on the financial contributions, with the county absorbing 75% of the levy and the city absorbing 25% of the levy. Along with that, it would require the composition of the airport commission to change to having, instead of 3 reps from the city and 3 reps from the county would have 4 members, the city would have 2. The county's 4 appointees would include 3 lay appointees and 1 county commissioner. The city's 2 appointees would be 1 city council member and 1 lay person. Phase 2 of this, which would be effective January 1 of 2028, would change the financial contribution to 80% levy by the county, 20% by the city, and would also change the commission membership to include 5 representatives from Crow Wing County, including 2 county commissioners, and 1 member who would be appointed by the city council, which would be a city council member. The final phase would go into effect January 1 of 2029, and that would change the final contribution from the financial side of things to 85% from the county and 15% from the city. The staff committees that were meeting to kind of review this looked at several different several different data points, if you will, when it came to the financial contributions. It included some tax capacity, it included populations, it included total values, it included many, many different data points, and the discussion was it should be reviewed every 3 years to make sure that this same contribution is still the appropriate way for that to be looked at. So the ordinance specifies also, one additional thing, that the financial contribution does not affect the ownership side of the airport. Both the city and the county would remain 50-50 partners in the ownership of the airport. And it also notes that the county's financial, the levy from the county, does not get applied to the city of Brainerd residents, which is what the existing agreement that is in place right now. The county's portion is not applied to the city since they are currently already contributing to that. So because this is a city council ordinance, and with the city of Brainerd being a charter city, they have their own requirements of things that they have to go through. They have done their due diligence, if you will, and done the approval of their ordinance. The action before you today would be to concur with Brainerd City Ordinance 1605.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair. I guess I've got I know that we went over this before, but of course, you know me, a question did pop into my head. I know that in years previous, we did have bonds. We borrowed, the city and the county borrowed, and those bonds were completely out of debt, which is a wonderful thing. But I guess the question that I have for you, Deb, is what happens if some future board, I don't see it happening now, but what if some future board, maybe they need the airport needs a new runway or a different runway, and they look at bonding? How does that bonding thing, is it the 80-20 then, or isn't that addressed in here?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Coring, that is not part of what this discussion would entail, the bonds, because the ownership is 50-50, in reality, the bonds would be 50-50 as part of that. This is the operating levy, which is separate from the debt levy. Sure. Debt levy has always been separated out in the airport side of things anyway, so if there were to be debt issued for the airport, the discussion would have to be had as to how that debt would be repaid.
Go ahead, Steve.
More discussion?
Madam Chair, we're going from, we were at 50, and I can't remember, it was last year, year before, it was a 50-50 partnership, and we put in our 50,000 or something like that, and the city of Brainerd put in, 1,000?
Correct.
That differential, is that ever going to get corrected, or is that something for the Airport Commission to discuss?
Madam Chair, that, Commissioner Lubke, that's the Airport Commission who has to address what that situation is. The establishment of the Airport Commission means the Airport Commission runs the day-to-day operations. The city of Brainerd did increase their appropriation for 2026, so it was right-sized again. They're a 50-50 split this year. The Airport Commission did choose to use fund balance to cover the shortfall from the previous year.
Okay. I didn't know if it was something that would come to us.
It would not be part of any, there's no retroactiveness involved in this.
And Madam Chair, if I might, just for clarification for Commissioner Lubke, there is a provision in there that was not there previously to address those kind of situations, whether the county does it or whether the city does it and tries to underfund their responsibility. So there is a mechanism now in this ordinance to address that. And that was an important piece that we placed in there so that we don't have those kind of situations again.
Thank you.
We can't get that money back.
No.
No. And how about that money from up north, that little town up there? Can we get that money back too? Sorry, John.
No, you don't have to be sorry. I know. You just couldn't help yourself. That's what it is.
Madam Chair, if there are no more sensible remarks or questions, concerns, I would make the motion to concur with the Brainerd City Ordinance number 1605.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Coring. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Madam Chair, that's all I have for you today, unless anyone has questions of me.
Any additional business?
Not to be outdone by Commissioner Barrows, but he's always pointing out that there's a lot of important days, and so I got on my handy dandy phone here and I see that August 1st, nationally is recognized as Girlfriend's Day, meaning that that day is where boys celebrate their girlfriends. Not a lot of boys know this, but let me tell you, the girls do. So, there you go. I didn't have you out.
As a married man, I think I will not recognize that day this year.
Okay.
I don't think my wife would appreciate that.
All right, go ahead.
Madam Chair, I know Commissioner Barrows likes to go last, so I better interrupt him quick. So I just, sitting here thinking about something, and I figured I better make a clarification since there's people at home watching this, and down the road they may watch this in the future. But Sheriff Klang and I have known each other for 30-some years, and we banter back and forth quite a bit. And my statement a minute ago was just returning fire on something that I received about a month ago, so it was all in good jest, just to remember that, so.
I thought you were dead serious, Commissioner.
Not everybody, see, people like you, they just assume the worst.
I don't have anything really big, except to say, go out and enjoy the county fair. Apparently there's pictures available if people want to have them taken with certain individuals.
Does he have a cutout? Is that what it is? It's a cutout out there, isn't it?
Oh, don't give him any ideas.
And if there's nothing else, Madam Chair, I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Coring. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.